Ractous RTK61P, coming in at a price tag of only $34.99. If at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same product, there's Amazon links below. But let's talk about the RTK61P. Firstly, this is a 60% form factor, which means if you do want space saving for a large mouse pad, if you're using low DPI, well, 60% is great for that. Build quality here is very solid, but fairly bare bones as the price point reflects. However, this is not necessarily a bad thing if you're short on monies. This uses a solid plastic shell that is very rigid, a top metal plate that is also painted white to reflect more of those RGBs, which I love. Now for switch options here, you have a plethora of choices with a choice between Gateron Optical Brown, Black, Blue, Clear, Red, Silver, and Yellow. Now I recommend either the silver or the yellows as they have a faster actuation, which means you don't have to press down the key as much for the key to actually be registered. The yellows are my preferred, and that's what I would probably recommend as they're very light and have that fast actuation for gaming. Now, while the Gateron Optical Yellows do have a substantial amount of stem wobble, this is the enthusiast in me talking, for gaming purposes, well, they're unbelievably amazing. For one, typically keyboards that have optical Gateron switches are really, really inexpensive, like this one, and they are unbelievably smooth. Possibly one of the smoothest switches you are ever going to get unlubed, stock, and this is definitely by far the smoothest switch you're ever gonna get at this price point. 100%. Hands down. Pair this with a 35-gram weight, which is very light, and a quicker actuation, and this is a fantastic budget gaming switch. The best budget gaming switch for speed. Now, as far as hot swappability, this keyboard is hot swappable, but only with other Gateron optical switches. That's typically how all optical switches work. For keycaps, these are using pudding keycaps. So if you like RGB, you're gonna like this. For the stabilizers, there's no rattle, and they honestly feel quite good considering the price point. You wouldn't think that these are tuned well, but they are. So overall, very good for gaming. Now for the sound, this is fairly hollow. It's pretty easy to remedy that if you're into modding. However, take a listen to the sound test of the Ractous RTK61P. Take a listen. And that is how it sounds. But moving on to connectivity, this uses a detachable USB Type-C for connectivity, and that is it. Now for the RGB, this is super bright. I mean, really, really bright. Tons of modes. Pudding keycaps, so it's very RGB-y if you love RGB like me. Tons of static colors. There's rainbow modes, reactive modes. It's all here. This is also really, really cool if you have other RGB on your setup. This is kind of a centerpiece to a setup with those pudding keycaps to match to your setup. It looks very, very cool that way. Overall, if you love RGB and want some awesome switches for a really inexpensive price, this is one of the best options out there. Again, if you want to check out this exact same product, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. And if you want to check out my main channel with longer form content, you can check that out right here. But this is a consumer tech review high speed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.